Lesson 2.5, dividing by tens, hundreds, or thousands. So just like when you're multiplying by 10, when you're dividing by 10, you want to go ahead and look for patterns. So if you know that 7 times 10 is 70, or 10 groups of 7 is 70, you also know the reverse is true, that 70 divided by 10 would equal 7. Or in this case, 160 divided by 10 would equal 16. So there are 10 equal groups of 16 to make 160. Go ahead and do your guided learning with pencil and paper. I'm going to continue with the lesson, but you can pause the video here and use your textbook on page 76. Just remember that to divide by a whole number with 0 in the ones place by 10, all you have to do is drop the 0. So for example, if you're looking at 90 divided by 10, just drop the 0 off the 90 and you know that it's 9. Lesson 2.5b, learning to break apart a number to help you divide by 10. So another strategy is breaking apart a number and thinking about it in a different way. So dividing a number by 30 is the same as dividing it by 10 and then by 3. So here's the example. 60 divided by 30. You can do the part in parentheses first. You think 60 divided by 10 is 6, and then divide that by 3. So 6 divided by 3 equals 2. Or here's another example. 420 divided by 70. You can think about it because you know this has a 10 in it because it ends in a 0. You can say 420 divided by 10 is 42. And then you just have a simpler number. 42 divided by 7 equals 6. These methods help you to be able to do dividing in a mental math sort of way more quickly when you're dividing by tens or multiples of 10. So you're going to go ahead and do your guided learning on page 78, and I'm going to continue with the lesson. So you can also look for patterns when you're dividing by 100 or by 1,000 in the same way that you do when you're dividing by 10. You're just looking at how many zeros there are. So if we know that 90 times 100 equals, oops, I have a mistake here. This should say 9,000. So if we know that 90 times 100 equals 9,000, 9,000 divided by 100 would equal 90. I'll have to go back and fix that. 14 times 100 equals 1,400. So 1,400 divided by 100 would equal 14. You're just taking the zeros off. 9 times 1,000 equals 9,000. So 9,000 divided by 1,000 equals 9. 14 times 1,000 equals 14,000. So 14,000 divided by 1,000 equals 14. This is very similar to the number families you learned about way back in first grade, how dividing and multiplying are related. So dividing a number by 300 is the same as dividing it by 100 and then by 3. So right here is an example, 600 divided by 300. You can think about it as 600 divided by 100 and then divided by 3. And think 6 divided by 3 equals 2. Myself, I would not use this method, but maybe it would work really well for you. If you like to solve bigger multiplication and division problems in your head, this might be a method that could work for you. I'll give you one more example of looking for patterns when dividing now 6,000 divided by 2,000. You could think about it as 6,000 divided by 1,000. Solve that first, because 6,000 divided by 1,000 is 6. And then you're going to divide it by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Dividing a number by 2,000 is the same as dividing it by 1,000 and then by 2. You can do the guided learning for this portion You'll find those questions on pages 81 and 83. Lesson 2.5D, learning to round numbers to estimate the quotients. So if you were estimating 1,728 divided by 38, you couldn't really do that in your head. But to estimate it, you could round the divisor 38 up to 40, and you could choose a number close to the dividend, 1,728, that can be evenly divided by 40. So remember that when you're doing long division, the divisor is the number on this side, and the dividend is the number on this side. So this is the large number that's being divided is the dividend, and the divisor is the number that's going into that. The number that's being divided is the dividend. The number that the dividend is being divided by is the divisor. And you can see with 1,728, you could round it down to 1,600. You could round it up to 2,000. So 38 rounds to 40. 1,728 is nearer to 1,600 than it is to 2,000. So you have 1,600 divided by 40. You can think about that as 1,600 divided by 10 and then divided by 4. So solve for the parentheses first. 1,600 divided by 10 is 160. Divided by 4 gives you 40. So 1,729 divided by 38 is about 40. Now you can go ahead and do the guided learning portions. The first problem has blanks for you to fill in. And after you're done with your guided learning problems, you're going to go ahead and do the Let's Practice problems digitally. And then when you're done with those practice problems, your teacher will correct them and let you know if you can go ahead and do your workbook independently, or if you will be coming to small group to get a little bit of extra support working on your workbook and getting some reteaching. When you're all done with that, you'll do your workbook, pages 47 to 52.